Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Welcome back to our discussion on conduct risk and consumer financial protection. I was earlier mentioning about the Islamic bank using the religious label in their business, and therefore they are expected to evidence the Islamic principles and the Sharia value they carry in their product offering. One of the issue that we can look into seriously is the use of al-bay' in the Islamic banking business. Because as I said earlier, many of us are not familiar or are not aware that the Quranic prescription of al-bay' over riba is the fundamental value proposition in Islamic banking. So meaning that the Islamic bank are not using Islamic loan anymore, or Islamic loan is not the proper term to use to reflect the financial services offered by Islamic bank, because an Islamic loan cannot charge anything more than the principal loan. Islamic loan is qardu hasan, and therefore it is not a viable contract to use in commercial banking. So what the Quran has prescribed is al-bay', that is buy and sell, and this has not, been properly communicated well to the consumer, because the consumer keep on thinking that the Islamic bank provides Islamic loan, and therefore there is no need for them to think about the kind of sale the bank is doing, because that conception of sale is not found in their mindset. So, when I'm talking about sale as an academia, because we are concerned about the true color of the product the bank is bringing, and when the bank is describing the contract of sale in their respective product disclosure sheet, the narrative has been like the bank will buy the goods from the supplier and will sell the goods to the customer on deferred payment. So this buy and sell transaction is like any ordinary retail and wholesale purchases, where there is a movement of ownership from the selling party to the buying party, and the selling party who is seeking profit in his or her business will be taking some kind of ownership risk in the resale business. So when the merchant purchase the goods from the supplier to be resold to the consumer, then there is some kind of risk taking taking place in that particular transaction. And the same applies for banking. So if the bank is to do sale and intend to sell the goods to the customer on deferred basis, so there must be a sale transaction where the bank is the selling party, and for that matter the bank must be able to give evidence that they are the actual owner of the asset. So meaning that the asset must be put on their banking book to evidence ownership, and once they are put in the banking book, then the bank will be exposed to ownership risk. So these are the complications that will come at the bank level when the bank is acting as the selling party, and when they are not able to evidence asset ownership and what more risk of ownership, because by doing so the bank will have to hold high amount of capital charges to protect or to support the exposure from losses. So we know that there is always a connection between the funding of the sale and what is accorded to the exposure, that is capital, because the funding is coming from deposit fund, and the deposit fund do not bear any risk of the loan, the risk in the loan is carried by the bank by way of capital charges. So this, three-party or three-factor connectivity needs to be further explained. Capital fund, deposit fund, loan, and capital adequacy, these are all very related, and once a sale contract is applied in banking, and the sale contract, if it is to claim Sharia compliant, it must be a true sale, it must be a real sale, and therefore it must be a bona fide sale. And if it is not, then there is a possible breach of Sharia compliance, and that will somehow impair, the consumer protection. Consumer need to be protected from this kind of inconsistency in the banking practice to avoid ownership risk, because of the fact that if they were to face ownership risk, then the impact on capital will be quite serious. So these are the issues that I hope that we can further discuss, and that is why I was raising the fact that if the bank tries to avoid taking ownership and facing ownership risk, which I presume is prevailing in all jurisdictions, whether they are in Pakistan or Indonesia or Malaysia or in Africa or the Middle East, the issue of taking ownership and facing ownership risk in sale is very, very serious, and none of the so-called supervisors are giving serious look at this matter until if there is a default event, and when the customer comes in to take the bank to the court of law, then to protect themselves from impending bankruptcy, then we will see this can be a call for the Islamic Bank to look into this matter more seriously. Okay, we can see and discuss this matter later on. Don't forget to comment and share and to subscribe. Assalamualaikum.